So, so again, I just wanted to, so that was mainly about mindfulness, using mindfulness to just stay present with, you acknowledge the feeling, okay? Give it your full, compassionate, even, this is a difficult word, welcoming attention. You've got some discomfort arising, okay? I'm feeling uncomfortable now, okay? Let me focus on it right now, okay? But let me focus on it with gentleness towards myself. Right? So that then a little welcoming. So what's this telling me? What's this telling me? Could only be a few seconds, okay? Then please let yourself drop the storyline. I don't need the details behind it. I'm just going to experience what I'm feeling. That's more compassion towards yourself, of just being with what is, being with what is. It allows you to have a more direct experience of it, free of interpretation. Interpretation kind of gunks it up. Don't fuel it with concepts and opinions and things like that. Just be present with what is. You can even go through, where is it located in the body? Does it have a shape, a form? I've worked with people like that. Does it have is it hot or cold? Does it have a color? Does it remain in the same place? Does it shift and change? It does. It does. So there's a couple things I just wanted to add. Just in closing, a healthy, compassionate relationship with ourselves, in which we relate to our own situation with kindness, understanding, and genuine acceptance, is as Jinpa says, the sea floor. It's a foundation, the sea floor to anchor our relationship with others and with the whole world around us. Think about it. Placing that anchor starts with my acceptance, kindness, understanding with myself, by getting real with myself. Part of it is the mindfulness of just acknowledging what comes up for me when I mess up. Trying, I'm a human. So we'd have a few more things I wanted to just add. So if we're taking this into how does it empower us ultimately, and what about vulnerability, which we haven't talked a lot about. Brené Brown is a sociologist in the States. You may have read some of her books. One is called Rising Strong, and she talks a lot about vulnerability. When we hear the word vulnerability, we think of weakness. It's not a positive thing. She has a different take on the whole thing. So when you feel like your country's being attacked, and you could be attacked globally with bombs, you can be threatened by somebody in your office, things like that, just bumped into on the street by somebody hostile, like that. Even if you're driving and somebody juts in front of you, people have these responses to that, okay? So to break it down with vulnerability, she says vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. Well, that's very different than weakness and despair and inactivity, right? So it's the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. So think about that. If something's not working the way you want it to, and the comment that you made about people not accepting where they are, this is my father now. He is, in a sense, I might label it waning, okay? And it's a natural course of life. So he's just experiencing what is natural. If he flows with it and develops his mind, it's one thing. If you resist it and start closing up and you're less and less capable and capable, you feel vulnerable in a weak way that you can't do, right? And then you flail around and can get upset. So you realize, like, I'm having more and more trouble going up and down the steps, so you innovate. Banisters, or you figure out, so I took him to one of these veteran centers about things we could get equipped in the house to make it more able, so it's creative. The things they invented, some of them were very creative. I hadn't seen them before. Change. He adapts at times. Sometimes he doesn't, then he's upset. Sometimes he adapts. Everything's okay. So think about in your own experience, if you're feeling a little scared, go out there, maybe they'll attack me, maybe this will happen and things. So maybe I change it. I noticed as a nun when I'm in India, and I used to be a party girl. So I'd go out at night, and when you're at university, I would study for a while at night, and if it was a Saturday night, I would head out at 11 o'clock at night. That was the beginning of my evening. Well, I'm a nun now, I don't like to go out at night. If it's dark, I don't necessarily want to, so there's a little bit of a change, because if I'm out and when I'm in India and I'm alone often, walking at night on the streets, it's a lot of men and things like that, so I just adapt my day and I do different activities at other parts of the day. Innovation. I just get creative. Oh, I want to go, I'll see that thing earlier. Change. I don't need to go to that restaurant at night. I don't need to go to that place at night. Okay? So it's interesting how you think about it. And then a couple other things. When you're dealing with, okay, here's the one, is when we're thinking about the terrorist mind, the mind of a totalitarian leader, and labeling it negative, and how horrible and how horrible. This is from Brian Stevenson, Just Mercy, from his, that these death row people, some of them had committed crimes. Some of them did kill people, right? But because they were poor, they couldn't get the representation they needed to maybe just be in prison for life, or maybe just have an ability for parole, but they were on death row. And he said one thing to consider about people, and he said this about the prisoners, they were much more than the worst things they had done. They were much more than the worst things they had done. Somebody blows themselves up with a suicide vest. Thank you. Somebody blows themselves up with a suicide vest. That's not the only thing they've done in their life. You know, there's a whole multifaceted person there that brought them to that specific moment in time. I don't want to just judge them by that specific thing. It's horrible. I'm not saying it's not horrible. It's something I could never conceive of myself. Okay? But there's all these other facets involved in it. That really helped me about, they were much more, he got to know these people. The guy I met on death row, oh my goodness, you know. And when you see his picture, when you see death row inmates in the States, pictures of them, some of them look really scary to me. They look kind of hardened and angry, like not this guy. Looked like an angel to me, had dimples. I mean, I couldn't believe when I saw his picture, I'm like, that's him? You know, some transformation had taken place, some transformation. So I just want to come back and I'll take, if there's any questions just to conclude, there's so many nice parts of this, and one of the things I wanted to say when I talked about that what we don't see, the people we choose not to see, the people in the shadow, the people in the light, the people that are more prominent, people that have privilege and things. What I noticed, and I know this was from Cory Booker's, his book about when he was doing the work with this community, trying to take back the safety of their community. And he said, he talked to this community activist, and the guy was old now, but he had done tremendous stuff in the community with people and helping kids to get better education and getting the drug guys to change their vocations. And it was really quite momentous. The guy was old now and he was blind. And so he used to say when he would talk, and sometimes when we talk to people, we don't really listen to them. We're not hearing them. Okay? You think you're hearing, but you're interpreting what they think. So at one point he said that when this guy would listen to him, Cory Booker said this, the guy would face him, and he was blind, and Cory would say something about what he wanted to do, organizing, community organizing, and then the guy would say to him, I see you, Cory, I see you. So are we seeing people? You know, and are you seeing yourself? You seeing yourself? So just to go back, and a last thing is about connection, to try to find the way that you're first going to connect positively with yourself, if you can, through all the different experiences I mentioned. And the other thing is, then I'm going to reach out to create this healthy connection with as many people as possible. And about that whole thing is, if I can, I think this was from Abraham Lincoln, do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends? Okay? There was a guy I worked with in an office. We had about 30 people. I just got into Buddhism, and I heard some teachings on bodhicitta, the enlightened attitude, cherishing others more than yourself. I didn't really know how it was practiced or what it meant, but they gave you different ways you could practice. And they said there's a bodhisattva that watches when you come into a room, and they see where your eyes go, and your eyes go over to the drinks or the candy, and they go, oh, would you like some? Like they're anticipating. And so they said there's somebody that you could learn all of the drinks that your office workers have. I worked in an office then. And you could maybe at times get them a cup of tea or coffee the way they like it, if you know. So there was a guy in the office, extremely difficult. I was the new person in the office. I had to do a big project with him, and I heard, we had an open air office, and I could hear him over a couple of weeks kind of barking at people, rude, and I could tell people didn't like him. And then I started to get very anxious about having to do this work with him, right? So I was a new Buddhist, and I was thinking this stuff from bodhisattvas, and I thought I was kind of doing this exercise with what did people drink in my office and how could I get them tea or coffee, but I exercised it with him and thought, I think I'm going to try and I'm going to figure out what he drinks and naturally kind of get him a drink one day, right? But it took me 2 weeks to get the situation together and to get up the nerve to do it because he was very intimidating. I was very nervous about this. And so I had to find the right thing where his coffee cup was empty and make it natural, like I'm going anyway with my coffee mug to the coffee machine. So it took a couple of weeks, and finally the situation arose. And I found out he took coffee, cream, no sugar. I found that out. And I genuinely really wanted to do this like he was a friend, like I would do for a friend, right? So I went in and found something, I gave him paper, and then I said, and I was very nervous. And I said, would you like a cup of coffee? I'm going anyway. Would you like a cup of coffee? So no one had ever said that to him in the office, right? So he totally disarmed. He couldn't speak for a moment. He just said, well, and I just stood there very casually. I was shaking inside, but I just very casually was. And then fortunately, and he said, oh, okay. He didn't have any context of this either. What do you say? So he managed to fortunately say, okay. I said, okay. I quickly took his cup, went out. I made a nice cup of coffee. I mean, you can't make it and then here jerk, you know. You have to made a nice cup, like for a friend. This is an exercise. So I made it very nice and made no big deal. I just came in, I go, here you go. And I first said to him, when I said cup of coffee, I said, cream, no sugar, right? So he was, made him a cup of coffee, dropped it off. That was it. We were friends after that. That's what friends do for each other, right? But nobody had shown kindness. And what happened was, it wasn't that I was anybody special at all. It was that he intimidated people like a chained dog. Chained dogs are afraid. I found out about his background finally, right? How unsocialized he was, what had happened. He was terrified of everyone in the office. He didn't know how to say anything like nice to people. So it ended up like a cage. He ended up, and all people would come in and so he would bark at them, some kind of negative thing, and everybody would just be repelled out. So here he is trying to figure it out, miserable, you know, and everybody's afraid to do anything because he's horrible, terrible, terrible, terrible. So finally, coffee, it melted him, just a simple act of, and that was it. Then people came up to me in the office. What did you do? He really likes you. What? I said, I got him a cup of coffee. So it's sometimes a simple thing. When I said genuinely, I like your hair. You have to be sincere. People know when it's crap. So you have to be sincere about it. Right? But it's a simple little thing, and we could do that with many, many people that we do feel adverse from. Try it. It's hard to step in there. Some people are not easy. Nobody likes them in your office. I get it. But this is about you and making a relationship and see what happens. You just try. Sometimes they'll bat you down. Doesn't matter, it's okay. I've been in that scene too, where I'm in a bad mood and nothing anybody can do, don't bother me, it's okay. So one last thing I wanted to just mention, an old African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Okay? So that's the thing with our planet, of how can we choose kindness? Can we figure out a way is to reach across, make the bridge across. I know there's people on the planet that look like they're blowing up the bridges right now. So it's our job to just keep creating more bridges, more creative bridges, more innovative bridges, more skillful bridges. They're going to look different now. And we can keep doing it. We are part of the planet. If you change your mind, that changes the world. That. Any questions? I can quote His Holiness Ling Rinpoche. He's now 30. He's one of our younger next generation. He just finished his Geshe studies at the monastery. He's a big personality. He's a beautiful Lama. You can do. That's what he says. You can do. He's wonderful. Right? So I don't have anything more to say on that. I mean, I have more, but we're out of time, I'm afraid. I hope this has been helpful for you. I know there's a lot of different directions we could have gone in. Is there anything burning that I didn't mention that you must hear, that you were hoping to hear today? Everybody okay? If you'd like, and thank you, somebody offered this, that, so if you'd like, I know sometimes Westerners don't wear these, but I really like, these are protection strings. These were blessed by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I wear one around my neck. It's just a blessing string. And so you can tie it, usually you tie it around your neck to wear. You can shower with them. If it wears out, you just wear it till it wears out. It has a knot, these special knots that are tied in it. And if not, you can just tie it over a tree or something like that. You don't throw them away like that. These are Mani pills. They're herbal pills. They don't interfere with other medication. I can give you a few and you can take one or two, you put under your tongue, let them dissolve, and they come from His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And they're just, you can think that you're getting a blessing like that to clear obstacles. So if you'd like, you can come up and get one, no obligation. And I'd like to dedicate from our prayer book of any positive energy we've created from spending this time together. May it really help us be able to create kindness, acceptance, and understanding towards ourselves, please. We deserve it, so that we can actually practice that with all others, and may that help us move along a path to full awakening, so we can be of the most benefit to all living beings. And I'd like to turn to the dedication prayers at the back. There's only one little dedication prayer, okay? So let me just read another one first. It's not here. O gewadi no dudag lama sange drugyorne drowachi kyang Maluba Nei Sala Gubarjog. We can go to this prayer, page 34. Janju Senjo Rimboje Mage Banam Ge Gyurjik Ge Wanyam Pame Bayong Gane Gandu Belwarjo. Long life prayer for Lama Zopa Rinpoche. You who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, protector of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. For His Holiness the Dalai Lama, in the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. I'd like to dedicate for peace on the planet instantly, for a most beneficial turnout, a most beneficial result this Thursday for your election, And for all the beings who need additional healing on the planet, may they receive it immediately and completely. And may the minds of all the terrorists be turned immediately to bodhicitta. Thank you very, very much.